Advertisers are pulling off of Tucker Carlson's show, and apparently there is, to an extent, some backlash, right? So it may backfire a bit. Let me just start by giving some sound advice to all of you who probably don't need the advice, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do not believe that the 30 people yelling on Twitter represent the general public. I'll let you in on a secret. They don't. They are fringe weirdos. Look, Ellen DeGeneres had Kevin Hart on her show, and they had a calm conversation about comedy and homophobia. She accepted his apology. And these people on Twitter still dragged Ellen, okay? If you're going to apologize and, you've got people who aren't gay ragging on Ellen, who is. Come on, man. These people are fringe, wackaloons who have no idea what they're talking about. They just want to drum up outrage to get support, to gain followers, because they're bored and because they're selfish. So Red Lobster pulls off of Tucker Carlson's show. And now we have this story from the Daily Wire, which is probably hyperbole, it's probably an exaggeration. Red Lobster faces boycott, mockery, after pulling ads from Tucker Carlson. Quote, Red Lobster, 100% real imitation seafood. Now I'll say this. Are they facing a boycott? Yeah, kind of. But I'm not going to assume the 30 people on Twitter who are posting hashtag boycott Red Lobster represent the general community. This is not unique of the left, okay? And I'm being hyperbolic again. I know it's more than 30 people. How much money is Red Lobster really going to lose from this? Probably nothing. Okay, they'll lose maybe some money, but probably nothing. I'll say, I'm not going to go to Red Lobster. I had no plans to go to Red Lobster, but I'm not. One thing I try to avoid is when companies get involved in the culture war, I avoid them. It's not a boycott of any one company. It's a general, leave me out of your politics, right? Because look at it this way. Red Lobster pulls out of Tucker. Then you get conservatives saying, then I won't eat there. What happens if I go there, right? I go to Red Lobster and take a selfie with some friends eating Red Lobster, and then all of a sudden people are like, Tim's making a political statement. And it's like, dude, that's why I'm just like, look, man, if you want to engage in culture war stuff, just count me out. No problem. I haven't really played Magic the Gathering in a long time because they started pushing this weird, identitarian culture war stuff. And then I don't want to be seen as either endorsing it. I just don't want to be involved. I just don't want to... Look, I have no problem talking about it on camera and complaining about how insane all of this is. But I don't, man... You sit down with one person for an interview and they try and drag you and accuse you of things. And it works! Red Lobster's going to pull their ads from Tucker's show because some people sent them an email? That's ridiculous, man. How many customers are you losing, in order to satiate the bloodlust of the 40 or 50 people who emailed you? It's insane. So from the Daily Wire... Amid yet another advertiser boycott pushed by left-wing groups against a Fox News host, Tucker Carlson has seen several companies pull their ads from his show after he described the unregulated influx of low-skilled immigrants as making America poorer and dirtier. Speaking of unregulated immigration, of those without a college education into the country, Carlson said. Nobody even tries to defend it. Instead, our leaders demand that you shut up and accept it. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. See, Tucker's wrong, actually. But there's an interesting thing here. There's a reason why there's calls for mass migration. And my video on my main channel today kind of talks about it, population decline. In reality, you could argue, in a sense, mass migration of low-skilled labor could make the country poorer and dirtier, but the alternative is worse. Our social programs cannot exist in the current trends. Because you look at Social Security, the way it works, old people, they need money. But National Health Service is actually a better example. But for the U.S., we have Social Security where young people pay taxes, which supplement old people. If there are no young people, then the old people don't get money, and then the system collapses. So one of the reasons why these countries want to bring in immigrants is to offset that population decline. It's not a dispute. It's not a conspiracy. The Swedish government flat out said it to Reuters. Reuters reported it. CNN's reported it. The weirdest thing to me is how this is apparently a conspiracy theory. It's the weird, on Twitter, people will be like, it's not true, no one's trying to bring in migrants because of population decline. It's like, what are you talking about? If I can't trust CNN, who can I trust, right? CNN said it was true. There you go, Reuters said it was true. Plain and simple. It's weird. So Tucker's saying it's going to make our own country poorer and dirtier. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. Our country is becoming poorer. Our economy is going to recede because people aren't replacing, they're not having babies anymore, okay? The goal of immigrants is to bring people into the economy so it doesn't collapse. It won't make, immigration, even low-skilled, doesn't necessarily make us poor. However, there's another problem, and it's that low-skilled labor, according to NPR, I read this yesterday, there is evidence to suggest low-skilled immigrants will displace low-wage labor and damage the economy. That's from NPR, okay? It's in my video yesterday on my main channel. Go watch it. So they say, under pressure from activists, some of Carlson's advertisers have bailed, yada yada, and there's a reason why I want to jump through this, because what Red Lobster bailed on was a segment he had about fertility rates and women making more money than men, which brings us back into the same issue, because this is all tied together. I talked about it in my video from today about the decline of fertility rates in the West. Feminism, and I'm not trying to be overly disrespectful of feminism. This is true. BBC said this is a success story. When women are working and in school, they do not have families, and thus the birth rate declines, and that means we can predict an economic recession or depression in the next 10 or so years because there won't be new people entering the workforce and paying taxes. Okay? Our social system, and for the most part, our economy, is based off of there being young people to subsidize the old people. If young people aren't having kids, then we can see at some point we're not going to have the money. And the main driving, I don't want to say the main, but one of the biggest contributors to this, according to the BBC, according to CNN, according to Psychology Today and some PhD scientists, and the New York Times, is that women are working and women are in school. There you go. Like, feminism has brought about gender equality. Hey, I think that's a good thing. But there are unintended consequences that we're seeing now. Well, I think Tucker was a bit more, I don't agree with his approach. He said something about, like, men in decline. So they say, among the advertisers that have agreed to pull their ads from Carlson's show is Red Lobster, asked for comment on the Carlson boycott. Red Lobster said they will no longer advertise on the show and will continue to monitor ad placement carefully. So here's what we have. Suez, probably just a random Twitter user, to a verified corporate brand, got a response. Red Lobster decided because some random Twitter person tweeted they're going to pull their ads, which was a mistake. The company has since issued a better worded official statement, as reported by the Rep. Red Lobster's advertising buying guidelines reflect our core values and commitment to supporting programming that represents the highest standards of good taste, fair practice, and objectivity. We reserve the right to make changes to our purchases when the dialogue is no longer in line with our criteria. So I don't know if I guess they don't have the segment in the Daily Wire article, but I'll tell you what it was. It was, Tucker Carlson was saying that because women are making more money, women who make more money don't want to marry men who make less than them. And because women are becoming independent and educated, it's resulting in lower fertility rates, and it causes all these problems. For the most part, he was focusing on, like, traditional marriage or whatever. And so I didn't put it in my video earlier today because it was kind of like a different issue. But it was interesting because Tucker Carlson isn't necessarily wrong, right? I don't think it's right to then claim women shouldn't be allowed to do it. No, I believe in a liberal democracy, women should be allowed to do it. And you figure out the rest, okay? And if you're a conservative and you think that we should have traditional marriage and all that stuff, by all means advocate for that. And that's, we'll see what happens. In my opinion, individuals have a right to freedom, to free expression, the right to work and be independent, and women can do whatever the hell they want. Okay? Plain and simple. I recognize, though, then we're at an impasse then, because fertility is a key issue. However, I think humans adapt, and I think we're going to have to figure out a way to maintain an economy with a shrinking population. And we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But we end up with this story about Red Lobster's boycott. So I guess I don't want to get too much on the social issues. Let's talk about the Red Lobster stuff. What's going on? Suez gave Red Lobster a big thank you. Most of the responses online to its decision haven't been so positive. One woman said, "Because you're no longer advertising on the show, I will never step foot in your restaurant again." You know what? You get it. You get it, right? All these people are saying, Red Lobster, screw you, basically. I'm not going to eat there. Why are you doing this? Dana Lash started making some jokes. Can I just point out, what did you think was going to happen, Red Lobster? I don't understand what is going on with these brand managers, where they're like, someone's complaining about a political issue. I know. Let's make it worse by getting involved in politics. Why should Red Lobster have anything to do with any of this, okay? You want to advertise on someone's show? I'm not going to assume simply because you're advertising on Tucker Carlson's show, you actually endorse what he's saying. You're simply trying to tell people you've got some seafood that people can eat. I recognize that, but you know what, Red Lobster? You want to go and pander to the fringe weirdos who are online by all means, go ahead and do it. By all means. So they mentioned in the Daily Wire article that Fox News stands behind Carlson. We understand. This is like the story's ongoing. Carlson has also refused to back down, making it clear on his show after the boycott was launched that he had no intention of caving to his critics. I just want to point out something, for the Daily Wire here. Tucker Carlson, this is from today, but Red Lobster is boycotting Tucker Carlson over his comments about women being paid more than men, not immigration, but it is a somewhat related issue. All that matters is, I don't want to buy Red Lobster right now, for one reason. I could care less that they support or don't support Tucker Carlson. I'm not a big fan of Tucker Carlson. I certainly don't think he's the worst, right? I actually would say I think Tucker Carlson's better than a lot of the pundits on TV. But I don't watch his show. I'm not a big fan of his, so I really don't care. What bothers me is that Red Lobster wants to be involved in the culture war. Why? Can't I just go and have endless shrimp and just eat shrimp? No. Apparently, I have to go and hear now about your core political values. You sell lobster, man. Okay? Don't advertise your politics. Whatever. I guess there's an inherent problem with them sponsoring a political show, but come on, man. Are we all supposed to assume now that every sponsor on every program endorses it? Jeez, man. All right, whatever. Stick around. I got more videos coming up, and I'll see you in a minute.